Dior is a French fashion house acclaimed for its ultra-femininity and timeless designs and products. Rooted in history and the public eye for its elegance ever since its debut in 1946, Dior has been nothing less of the luxury that it sounds like. The start of Dior was not much different from how we know the brand as now. Ever since it was founded on December 16, 1946, on 30 Avenue Montaigne, Paris, France, Dior has been a high-class and well-respected brand with unique collections that are favored by the public. The brand was named after its founder, Christian Dior, which is also why the logo of the brand, something that will be further spoken on, is so straightforward, as it simply represents what Mr. Dior and his fashion house stood for. Christian Dior was a French fashion designer born into a wealthy family. Originally, he was training for the Foreign Service, but then transitioned to illustrating fashion designs for the Figaro Illustré in the 1930s during a financial crisis. A dress is a piece of ephemeral architecture designed to enhance the proportions of the female body, said Christian Dior as he described his first collection, the New Look, which consisted of dresses with short and full skirts, tight waists, accentuated busts, and rounded shoulders. This launch on February 12 for the spring and summer of 1947 had introduced ultra-femininity and women's fashion, which further on would continue to be a recurring theme in what the label represents. Dior's New Look collection was viewed as a repudiation to the admired styles of the 1920s and 30s, as it was evident that his designs were heavily influenced by the fashion of the 1800s and the body shapers that were well known during that century. The following years after Dior's grand debut continued to be filled with influential and high-standard clothing that gained the attention of the public and especially the higher classes in Europe. Dior's logo was designed to be simple yet elegant and represent what the brand stands for. Dior used a serif typeface that leaned more towards femininity with smaller strokes, as that is what they pride their products to express. Similar to other luxury and well-respected brands, it used its name as its logo. The D was capitalized, while the remaining 3 letters remained lowercase. In addition to that, there is a symbol used for the brand with the abbreviation of CD. The logo designers had stylized the C and D to appear as if they were mirroring each other, which made it so that when flipped or turned upside down, the logo would look the same as the usual one. Over the 75 years that Dior has been open and thriving, there has, expectedly, been multiple changes made both within the company and with their products. When the brand was still continuing to flourish, Christian Dior was known to have dressed multiple celebrities and high-class families, including members of the royal family, Marlene Dietrich, and Ava Gardner. The House of Dior had also become a highly respected and influential fashion empire for both the fashion industry and around the world. Dior's market had also expanded further than Europe. In 1948, Dior's products were introduced to America as Christian Dior New York, using fabrics that worked well in machine production and that incorporated more casual American and ready-to-wear styles. In addition to that, wholesale fashion companies were welcome to purchase Dior designs and have mass productions for the market. By 1950, Christian Dior had earned half the profits for the entire Parisian couture industry, and by 1957, he offered licensing in 87 countries that presented Dior's label on handbags, makeup, perfume, and stockings. Upon the death of Christian Dior in 1957, Yves Saint Laurent, who was 21 years old at the time, had taken over the creative aspects of the fashion house. Saint Laurent had continued to use the same fabrics, proportions, and silhouettes as Christian Dior so as to keep the brand alive, but his designs were much softer as well as lighter and easier to wear. Over the years, his designs had become more daring as a result of his success at the fashion house. This continued until 1960 when the release of his Bohemian collection was harshly criticized by both fashion critics and the general public. He was then called up to join the military, which forced him to leave the fashion house, raising no objection with the management of Dior. Following Saint Laurent was Marc Bohan, who was appointed in the 1960s. He had instilled a much more conservative style in the brand and was credited to keep the label of Dior at the forefront of fashion, while still designing and producing wearable and elegant clothing. Women's Wear Daily had even claimed that Bohan rescued the firm. In 1967, Bohan's assistant, Philippe Guibourget, launched the first French collection that was ready to wear, titled Miss Dior, which is a collection that is still well known and being developed to this day. Following Marc Bohan were multiple other creative directors, such as Jean-Franco Ferre in 1989, who was known as the first non-Frenchman designer of Dior. John Galliano, who, while described as someone with close to the same creative talent as Christian Dior himself by the chairman of Dior, had faced a massive controversy in 2011 regarding his anti-Semitic remarks, which caused the company to face embarrassment and the creative head to be fired. Hedi Slimane was appointed as the creative director of Dior Homme, which was the label's men line, in 2000, and following Galliano was Raf Simons. In 2016, Maria Grazia Chieri became the first female Dior creative director, and to this day she is still the head of the design department. Over the decades, Dior kept its image of being known for its extravagance in the women's fashion industry. This focus on women's fashion was especially expressed through Maria Grazia Chieri's words. When discussing her new position, she explained that while femininity represented Dior, the idea of it could also be made into something new, and that she did with modern-day women's designs. While still staying true to Dior's roots, she reinvented the label and what it means to be feminine with a more masculine touch, and expressed elegance going hand in hand with edginess.